Hi guys, today we're talking about the story of the five New York Mafia families. Um, the rise and fall of the Commission, a tale of power, betrayal, and control. For much of 20th century, the criminal underworld of New York City was dominated by a powerful and highly organized network of mafia families. This organization, deeply rooted in secrecy, violence, and illicit enterprises, held an iron grip on industries ranging from construction and labor unions to gambling and drug trafficking. The existence and structure of this family remained hidden from public view until 1963, when an insider's testimony exposed their operation to the world. So their golden era lasted only a few decades. The bloody legacy of the five families lives on. In We explored the fascinating famous families that formed the original mob, their power struggles, and rise the fall of the Commission, the ruling body they sought to maintain order among the mafia's most powerful families. From ruthless bosses and high-profile betrayals to federal crackdowns and internal conflicts, this exposure goes to the key figures. We discover together. The formation of the five families can be tracked back to the tumultuous periods of the late 1920s and early 1930s, when the Castell Mars War erupted between rival factions within the Italian-American underworld. The Castell Mars War was a violent power struggle for control of the American mafia between the faction of Joe, the boss Masseria, and Salvatore Maranzano, lasting from February 26, 1913 to April 15, 1931. The conflict, named Maranzano's hometown of Castelmare del Golfo in Sicily, took place in New York City. Masseria, traditionalist who resisted change, found himself at odds with Maranzano, who sought to restructure the mafia's operation. Where Maranzano emerged victorious, he took control of the New York Mafia and established a new hierarchical system, dividing the city's underworld into five distinct families. They were later named after their most infamous leaders: Bonanno, Colombo, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. In the Commission's early days, many members of the five families were immigrants from Italy, particularly Sicily. Some had ties to Sicilian crime families who operated according to a code of honor known as omertà. Maranzano's reign, however, was short-lived. In 1931, he was assassinated on the orders of Charles Lucky Luciano, who then restructured the organization to ensure its longevity and efficiency. At the top was the boss, the supreme leader of the family. Below the big boss was the underboss, who handled day-to-day operation and was next in the line for leadership. The conciliar served as an advisor, often acting as a mediator in disputes. Next were capos or captains who controlled various crews of soldiers, the backbone of the organization. At the lowest level were associated individuals who worked from the mafia but had not been formally inducted. The Genovese family has notable bosses Charles Lucky Luciano, who led from 31 to 37, and Vito Genovese, who was in charge from 1957 to 1969. The Bonanno family's notable leaders were Joseph Joe Bananas Bonanno, who served from 31 to 64, and Joseph the Heir Mazzino, who led from 91 to 2004. For the Lucchese family, Tommy Galliano was the boss from 31 to 51, followed by Tommy Three Finger Brown Lucchese from 51 to 67. The Gambino family had Carlo Gambino as a notable boss from 57 to 76, and John Gotti from 86 to 2002. Lastly, the Colombo family's notable bosses were Joseph Olive Oil King Profaci, who was in charge from 31 to 62, and Joseph Colombo, who led from 33 to 71. The family engaged a variety of criminal enterprises, including loan sharking, extortion, prostitution, gambling, labor racketeering, narcotics trafficking, and contract killings. They infiltrated legitimate business, manipulated labor unions, that exerted control of industries, such as construction, trucking, and waste management were under the mafia's control. Their strict code of silence, known as omerta, ensured the information about their operation remained within the organization, and betrayal was met with lethal consequence. For only 4 decades, the five families reigned supreme, their influence extending far beyond the criminal world. During this time, figures such as Carlo Gambino, Vito Genovese, and Joseph Bonanno becomes household names, synonymous with power and organized crime. The mafia had deeply embedded itself in New York's social and economic fabric, controlling major industries, dribbling public officials, and intimidating rivals. The post-World War, its second economic boom, provided fertile ground for explanation. Illegal gambling flourished, loan sharking operations thrived, and mafia-controlled unions dictated terms to business. The family has also established a strong connection to the Las Vegas casino industries, skimming millions in untaxed revenue from the growing gambling empire. For years, law enforcement has struggled to penetrate the mafia's inner working. That changed in '63 when Joseph Alaki, a soldier in the Genovese Cream family, became the first member to pub- publicly testify against the organization. Appearing before U.S. Senate Committee, Valaki provided a detailed account of the mafia structure, rituals, and criminal activities. His revelation shocked the public and gave federal authorities a blueprint to dismantle organized crime. While the testimony was a major breadcrumb, it wasn't until the passing of the racketeer influenced the corrupt organization Act in 1970 that the government gained a powerful legal tool to go after entire criminal enterprises. RICO allowed prosecutors to charge entire organizations, the crimes leading to a wave of conviction in the years that followed. The RICO Act impact was further amplified by a shift in FBI strategy under directors William Webster and later Louis Freeh. Federal agents began aggressively targeting mafia leaders using long-term surveillance, wiretaps, and informants. This shift, along with the growing power of federal prosecutor, meant that even the most insulated bosses could no longer evade justice. Major figures like Anthony Fat Tony Salerno of the Genovese family and Carmine Jr. Persic of the Colombo family faced hefty prison sentence, effectively dismantling much of the old leadership. The RICO Act combined the aggressive FBI crackdowns in the 1980s and 1990s led to the arrest and the conviction of many high-ranking mafia bosses. One of the most high-profile cases was the Mafia Commission trial of 1986, which resulted in the conviction of several top leaders from the five families. However, Um, his luck ran out in '92 when his underboss Salvatore Samidabur Gravano turned a stay witness, leading the Gotti's conviction the life sentence. By the late 19th year, the five family years were further awakened by more internal betrayals. More mobsters than ever were flipping, providing authorities with first-hand accounts of criminal operation in exchange for leniency. The sacred code of Omerta was no more. While the five families still exist in New York, they no longer wield the power to the ones did. The modern-day mafia operates with far greater discretion, avoiding the high-profile violence and media attention that contributed to his downfall in previous decade. decade. In 20 centuries, mafia families have had to adapt to survive, while traditional rackets such as loan sharking and extortion remain. There has been a shift towards cybercrime, stock fraud, and more subtle forms of financial manipulation. The mafia today still maintains a presence in certain industries, particularly construction and waste management, but it operates in a much more fragmented and subdued manner than in heyday. Their influence has been challenged other organizations, including Eastern Europe, Latin American, and Asian syndicates. The story of New York's five families is one of power, ambition, and eventually downfall. From their origins in the bloody gang wars of the 1920s to their heyday as the rulers of the city's underworld, their influence was vast and undeniable. Law enforcement continues to monitor and prosecute organized crime. As society evolved, the once mighty empire crumbled. While remnants of the five families remain, their time as the undisputed king of the New York underworld has passed, leaving behind a legacy of crime. I hope you like it. The five families mafia from New York to divide the New York.